Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please, don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For tomorrow he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a holly Who wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise!
They'll blow their flute-fluters!
They'll bang their car-tinkers!
They'll blow their hoo-hoovers!
They'll bang their car-dinkers!
They'll beat their tron-tookers!
They'll slam their sluice-mongers!
They'll beat their cloak-wookers!
They'll whack their hoo-honkers!
And they'll play noisy games like Susanne Carzay, a roller skate blend of lacrosse and croquet.
And then they'll make ear-splitting noises till loops on their great big electro-cardio flutes!
And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. Welcome Christmas, Bahu-Rahus. Welcome Christmas, Bahu-Rahus. Welcome Christmas, darling Santa Claus, to heart and hand in hand. The more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. Then he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he took his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty old sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he whistled for Max. Then the Grinch said, "Get up!" And the sleigh started down at a heart-stopping pace to lay waste to the town. Were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. Mean one, Mr. Grinch, you really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinched, are the first things to go. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders, you have garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns, pampukas, pantukas and drums, checkerboards, bizzledinks, popcorn and plums. And the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all of the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, said the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Nauseate is the Grinch, Mr. Grinch. Nauseate me with a nose super nice. Mr. Grinch, you're a crooked, jerky jockey, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. You're a three-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich. With arsenic sauce. You're a mean one, And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Mean one. It was 1:15 dawn. All the Who's still abed. All the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the snoof and the fazzles, the tringlers, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Poo-poo to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, and then all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. And that's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. Did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and then it started to grow. But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded glad. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they'll say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And as the true meaning of Christmas came through, the Grinch found the strength of 10 Grinches, plus 2. With a smile in his soul, he descended Mount Crumpet, cheerily blowing, "Hoo-hoo!" on his trumpet. He rode into Whoville. He brought back their toys. He brought back the floof to the Who girls and boys. He brought back their snoof and their tringlers and fazzles. He brought back their pantookers and their dafflers and wazzles. He brought back everything, the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Welcome Christmas!